Folks, it is October 20th, which means it's Monday, which means it's time for Monday Night Nerd. Hello, everybody, for a very Halloween festive season here on Monday Night Nerd. We are here with the annual Halloween ranking horror movies episode of the show, which we've done now 3 times. The first year we talked about the Halloween franchise. The second year we talked about Friday the 13th. And tonight we are going to finish off the trifecta of horror with Nightmare on Elm Street. We're going to go through all of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies from number 9 to number 1, ranking them worst to best. And we got a whole lot more. And as I said in the story, folks, I will do my absolute best to get you out of here at 8:10 so you can all go watch the Jays game, because you're probably all more excited for that than this episode. I completely understand. Folks on TikTok, I greatly appreciate you guys coming over to the show and watching. If you have any questions, if you want to participate in the live stream, hop over to YouTube, Myers Corp Cosplay on YouTube, and we can have a chat about what you think about the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Folks, it has been a good week here. We were off last week for the holiday. We were not here doing a live show because I know you're all way too busy to be doing something like this on your holiday Monday, and I was as well. Hung out with some family, did some relaxing, and getting ready for the Halloween season. I've got Frightmare in the Falls this weekend coming up, and then we have one more. We have Toronto Game Expo, and then we're pretty much done for the year. So the cosplay season is closing for 2025, but we are still working on some new cosplays. I actually had a long call with another cosplayer last night, Pretty Nerdy Crystal, and we were talking about what I should be doing next year for my big cosplay, and I have some really good ideas. One in particular that will probably be the one for Anime North that I have to start working on soon, because I gotta start sewing, and that's scary as hell for me, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. Boomster Joe's in chat 1-2. He's coming for you. Yes, he is. Andy Whaley, good to see you. And Marcy, hello. Hope you are doing well. Before we get into the newsy news, I do want to give a quick update on something that has been racking my brain for a very long time. If you are new to the show, if you're actually an old member of the Myers Corp Cosplay group that hangs out here on the podcast, you know that over the months and years, I've been having some internet issues lately. We have been struggling on getting a strong signal, and we have gone to the extreme and actually switched internet companies. This is the first show that we are doing with a new internet company. For those who don't know the details, when I started this podcast a couple years ago, I was in the room next door, and that's sort of my work room, and I had a great signal. The company I was with changed owners, let's say, and it just started crapping the bed. At one point, I had all 3 Geeks & Co. on here with me on a live stream, and it was flawless. Now I can't get one guest in here without stuff stuttering and stopping and there being issues. So over the past 8-9 months, we have got 2 new modems, a new router. We have moved the router and modem to the middle of the house. We have had professionals come in to look at the internet. I have switched rooms to be closer to the modem and router, which are technically below me. We have done all of this, and we have not been able to break a certain speed. Now, when it comes to live streaming, the download is important, but the big thing is the upload speed. Download, I could do over a couple hundred, and I'm going to be clean. It's just the upload, because I have to upload this stream onto YouTube. So the plan we were on was supposed to be 100 upload. 100 upload. That is around what we should be getting. We, with everything we've done, could never get over 30. And that is including me hardwiring into the modem. Cannot get over 30. We have officially said, look, we're done. The company we were with, the tech support was terrible. We finally switched to one of the big boys. We are now with one of the big boy internet companies, and we still can't get over 30. We still, even today, when I was fighting with stuff, I cannot get over 30 on the upload. So I'm going to be calling the internet company this week and being like, you guys got 14 days to figure this out, or I'm canceling the contract in the 14-day trial and I'm going back to where I was, because if nobody can fix this and it's just the area, I can't do anything about it, which sucks because I would love to have guests on the show. I would love to have conversations on the show. But the problem is I don't want it to be a crummy stream. I don't want things to be stuttering and stopping because it's just becoming too much of a hassle. Like this isn't a professional podcast. This isn't like thousands of people watching it, but I do want to put out a product that, you know, you guys want to pay attention to. I do a lot of this because I just like yakking, but I do want to put out a good product, and having friends and guests on here where it's stuttering and stopping, I get really frustrated about that. So fingers crossed. And if not, I'm going to just have to start inviting people over to my house, and we're just going to have to do it here in the middle of the room. But yeah, so that is a little bit of a frustration that's going on, but we're doing our best to get it to work. The Jays are playing tonight at 8:10. We're just about an hour away. So like I said, I'll do my best to get you guys out of here. So hopefully the Jays will be going on to the World Series. I'm not a big baseball fan. I played when I was a kid, but out of all the sports, baseball is the one I probably find the most boring, but it would still be dope if the Jays won, even if they make it to the World Series and they lose. Hey, you still made it 10 times farther than almost every other team. So go Jays. Nerdy stuff. Let's talk about Peacemaker. There are a lot of people who are not happy with this Peacemaker finale. I don't want to spoil it. It's been out for a couple weeks, but there's a lot of people who saw the 7th episode that loved it. I was one of them. I ranted and raved on here about how great of an actor John Cena is, and that performance was incredible. They did not like the last episode, though, the finale, episode 8. They felt it was kind of a letdown. I feel like because 7 was such a good episode, it was kind of hard to compete with that. I thought episode 8 was fine. I think everyone kind of wanted to end at a crescendo and a big ta-da, and it kind of fizzled at the end, but I feel like that's okay. I feel like we set up enough in the future. James Gunn has come out and said this is the last Peacemaker season, at least as of now. These characters will come out later in other things, but yeah, that was it. So I didn't think if they did like a big boom at the end, I felt like that would kind of be a waste because we couldn't go anywhere with it. So I feel the setup for where Peacemaker is, where the rest of the team is, I'm happy with it. I'm perfectly happy with seeing where they're going to go with this. Crystal said it was boring. Boomster Joe said he binged it last week. I get why people think it was boring. Again, episodes 6 and 7 were kind of really big episodes in that season. Again, I don't want to spoil it. You can kind of see online the feedback that people have been posting all over the place, but I was fine with it. I don't think it was that big of a deal. Current gaming right now, we kind of talk about this every single week. I'm running through Resident Evil 5 right now. I am a big Resident Evil fan. 5 is one of the few that I've not played through. I kind of skipped it when it first came out because I thought it was really a co-op game, and I'm not really a co-op gamer. It is single player, so now I'm like, all right, I should give it a shot. Shava, the female in it, who is the AI partner in the game, is one of the worst AI partners I've ever dealt with in a game. I know people were not too thrilled about the what's her name, the little girl from number 4. Shava's horrible. Shava's annoying as hell. There are several parts where I'm trying to save her and she just does not do anything. I think I'm about halfway through the game right now, and I gotta admit this is probably the lowest, the one of the worst games out of the series. I love 2. I love Village, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of this game. I will finish it, and then I will jump into 6, which everyone says is the absolute worst, but I still want to play it for fun. But yeah, this has been a pretty fun, like, oh my god, this is frustrating type game. So that is Resident Evil 5. I would keep up on that. Other than that, I don't think there's many other games right now that I'm running through. I do have my emulator on the computer, so I will be running through some other stuff. I know I've got Banjo-Kazooie to play through. I do want to run through Pokemon again. I haven't run through a Pokemon game in forever, but seeing all the feedback on the new Switch title has not been that great, so I'm interested to run through maybe, Red or Blue, the original ones again, and see how much I love them. WWE, quickly, I just want to talk about this. I know there's not a lot of WWE fans, but I am a big WWE fan, so I do want to talk about this quickly. Over the past couple weekends, a couple weekends ago. WWE was in Perth, Australia for their Crown Jewel pay-per-view. If you're not in the WWE loop, the man, Mr. Peacemaker, John Cena, is on his farewell tour. He announced late last year that 2025 will be his last year in WWE, and he has said no matter what, this is it. So every stop this year that he is on, I think he did like 25 spots throughout the year. That's his last go in that city. So they're all kind of big farewell tour, big farewell cities. He has got 3 left. He's got 3 left. His last is in December. But his fourth last match was against AJ Styles. And AJ Styles is not a big name in the wrestling world. He's not a Stone Cold Steve Austin, but he is an incredible wrestler. And he is getting close to winding down as well. So it was a great match between the two of them in Perth, Australia. There was a lot of people who were very critical about the match because over the past year, John has slowly incorporated other wrestlers' finishing moves into his repertoire as sort of a tribute to superstars that he is not able to face in his retirement tour. So throughout the match, there were tributes to The Undertaker. There were tributes to Bray Wyatt, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago. And a lot of people are getting really upset about that, especially the big critics of WWE saying, this is kind of a slap in the face to the wrestling fans. I'm sorry. They're selling out every single night that he's out, and they're selling shirts for every single city, and they're making bank off it. I'm sorry. That's the whole point of the wrestling game. You can have every opinion on what you think good wrestling is. If you're selling tickets and there's a butt every 8 inches in that arena, I think they're doing great. So I thought it was an amazing match. AJ threw out tributes to other wrestlers that he's competed over the years, and overall it was a 10 out of 10 match. I've seen so many people give it rousing reviews, but I've seen so many people just critique the daylights out of it, and I feel like we're in a world where we critique a little too much. Just sit back and have some fun. Alex is in chat. Alex, I hope you are doing well. I can't wait to see you this weekend at Frightmare in the Falls. It is going to be a good weekend. Unfortunately, we do have to end the news segment with a little bit of a sad note. If you are a fan of the band Limp Bizkit, you did hear yesterday, or over the weekend, was it yesterday? Saturday, that bass player Sam Rivers unfortunately passed away at 48. This kind of came as a shock because Limp Bizkit just did a giant world tour, or North American tour, with Metallica, which I got to see live. He looked great. Everyone said he was doing well. There hasn't been an official reason for his passing. However, Limp Bizkit DJ Lethal, the DJ from the band, did put out a post today saying F cancer. So I think they can kind of put to rest what the reason was. It's kind of hit the world. It's kind of hit the new metal and rock world that a lot more than I thought it would. I saw the news break and I was like, oh shit, that's crazy. There's been a lot of tributes coming out. There was actually one that hit TikTok today that kind of hit me a little weird. It was a cartoon of a guy and he's in the death metal makeup and he's on a bus and he's patting the guy on the back and he's in a Limp Bizkit shirt and baggy pants and he's like, we're us in death metal are sorry to see the loss of your new metal brother. And I was like, holy shit. I guess, the new metal group was always kind of shunned over the decades as we don't believe in that. That's all trash. But I think we've kind of hit a world where metal in general is kind of one big brotherhood, no matter what subgenre you love. So I saw that and I was like, man, that kind of hits you right in the soul. Cause they dealt with Ozzy just passing and now we're dealing with this. And again, I didn't think this would be that. It sucks 100%, but I didn't think this would be as big as it is. It kind of hit me a little bit because if you guys weren't around for my Metallica episode, when I talked about seeing them with Metallica and the exorbitant amount that I paid, and I was in the middle of the pit, the way the arena was set up, if this is the Rogers Center, the pit wasn't, or the circle stage that Metallica plays on was not in the center. It was kind of off to the one side. And we were in the middle, and then there was more of a crowd over here than there was on this side. And Limp Bizkit lined up and had their line here, and they were facing the main crowd. They didn't really play to us. The only real person that I remember looking over to us and kind of playing towards us was Sam. So that kind of was like, wow, that kind of sucks that the one that seemed to pay attention to the group of people that wasn't getting as much attention was the one that passed away. So, to Sam and the Limp Bizkit crew, that I feel bad for you guys because that was a big member of the band, and Fred has come out and done a tribute on his TikTok or on his Instagram saying, he really misses them. And yeah, unfortunately, that's another one that's on the list this year, along with Ozzy and a few others. So it happens, unfortunately. It really does. Boomster Joe says, age hits different when the people who inspired you start disappearing. 100%. 100%. All right. Let's get on to some good news. Well, it'll be crummy at the beginning, and then it'll get better. If you guys are here, if you can hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, and all those things, that would mean a lot to me. It shows me that you guys like this type of stuff. I do this type of video once a year. Next year is going to be interesting because I really don't know which one I'm going to do. There aren't many other franchises that I've seen every movie for. I might do Scream next year. I'm definitely not doing anything new. Like, I had someone mention in a previous video, like, you should do The Conjuring. And I'm like, I haven't seen one Conjuring, let alone all of them. So maybe I'll do Scream next year, but I'm running low on what series to do. Sponsor, as always, on this. Time to get on Conjuring. Yeah, right. Sponsor for the video, as always, you guys know this is my beautiful, loving, amazing, incredible wife. It would not be a sponsorship. It would not be a podcast without her. She is incredible. She pushes me to be a better person. She is, a whole ton of stuff. Like I've said it a million times. She is absolutely incredible. And I would not be doing this if it wasn't for her. So, hun, you will always be my sponsor. All right, let's jump into the main event. This is something I do every single year around this time. We usually do it closer to Halloween, but because next week is going to be the review of Frightmare in the Falls, I didn't want to put both of them together because that would be a stupidly long episode and you guys are going to get bored of hearing my voice and fall asleep or turn it off. So we are going to do it this week. Let's see. So why this one? Well, we did Halloween, we did Friday the 13th. Those are the two series that I know the most about. This was one that I definitely had to go back and do a little research. I did not come into this one completely clean without doing some last minute research. I did have to watch some of the middle movies and be like, was this 3? Was this 4? Was this 5? Because it has been a long time since I've seen some of these middle ones. This is a series that has sort of shaped the world of a lot of horror. It started in the 80s, working their way through the 90s, and then we have the reboot in 2010. There has always been a thought process of let's do it another one, let's bring it back. I've heard some rumors recently about wanting to do another Friday or Nightmare on Elm Street. Without Robert Englund, because Robert Englund's getting a little too old, and who do they think they would do it? I really don't know. I think we'll get into this, especially with the reboot. There are some things that I think Hollywood needs to think about more than just who the main actor is. And let's get into it. I think we can all guess what. We're going to start at the bottom, by the way, and work our way up, as always. You're probably going to guess what number 9 is, because if this wasn't number 9, I'd be shocked on everybody's list. It is the reboot with Jackie Earle Haley. I am going to do a little bit at the beginning of each movie and just kind of give you a synopsis of the movie, and then we'll go into some points about it. So, the film that brings back horror icon Freddy Krueger as a darker and more sinister character than ever before. While Freddy is on the prowl, a group of teenagers being stalked soon learn they all have a common factor, making them targets for the twisted killer. Now, so let's talk about this one. So this was the 2010 remake. We have not had a Freddy Krueger movie since Freddy vs. Jason, which I believe was 2003. So we were 7 years out from Freddy vs. Jason. This one is a problem. And I don't think it's the star. The star of this is Jackie Earle Haley, who plays Freddy Krueger. And if you don't know who Jackie Earle Haley is, he is Rorschach from Watchmen. It's a faithful retelling when it comes to the main plot. The problem is that they dance very close to the line of being almost a shot-for-shot remake, which is a problem. But they also try to do something that Hollywood was really big on this time of year, this decade, and this time of movie making. Was Hollywood was really into trying to make everything realistic. They had this really big hard-on for wanting to be, what if Freddy was real? What if, with the Rob Zombie ones, like Rob Zombie's kind of director that does over-the-top stuff, but like, what if it was real? Like, what if he what if he was a kid and went to a mental institution? Like, it's a lot of stuff that it really bogs the movie down to the point where it's just like, why do we care? Like, the big thing about this one that they were really pushing back in the day was his makeup looks exactly like just what a burn victim would look like. And it's like, yeah, but a burn victim is horrible to see. But when you go from something like Freddy in, we'll get into it in the new Nightmare or even the original one, it's not that bad when it comes to a scary factor. From a realism standpoint, it's one thing, but it's too much. And as Alex brought up, they did took away from the mystery. And it's over the top. I've said it here on the podcast before, and I'll say it again. There is a director, and I cannot remember the director because I would love to quote him on this, but I remember him doing an interview, and he said there is no character, whether it's a villain, whether it's a hero, whatever, that you've ever watched in a movie and have sat in a theater and looked at the screen and said, I really wish what they were like as a child. No one has ever said that, but for some reason, Hollywood wants to give you every bit of detail of how they became who they were. I don't know if this was like an episode 1 Star Wars type thing where like, we know how he became Darth Vader. And it's like, yeah, that kind of worked. And even there's a lot of people who hated that. Can we just not make him a scary guy that haunts people in their dreams? It was just way too much of stuff that no one really cared about. Like, I think if they just did another Nightmare on Elm Street, didn't reference anything from the past movies, didn't try and do shot for shots like some of the kills and stuff, it would have been probably received a lot better. But when you're sitting there watching it going, there's no way you cannot compare this to the original. And I feel like that just destroyed it. And I feel bad for Jackie Earle Haley because he seems like a really good guy, and I think he did the best he could, but it just flopped. And I don't know many who like this movie, let alone say like the Rob Zombie Halloweens or the new Halloweens, where there's some people who are like, it's not bad, but there's only so much people can take. So that's number 9. And again, I'd be shocked if anyone didn't have that as number 9. Now we're going to go to number 8. We're going to jump way back. Actually, not way back. We're going to jump back about 19 years. Final Nightmare. Freddy. This one is just, oh boy. This one I forgot about. This is one of those ones that I was like, what happened in this movie? And then I quickly watched it. I was like, all right, not much. Not much happens. This was in 1991. This was the last of the mainline Friday the 13th before we got into the new Nightmare, Freddy vs. Jason, and the reboot. Just when you thought it was safe to sleep, Freddy Krueger returns in his 6th installment of the Nightmare on Elm Street films as psychologist Maggie Burroughs, tormented by recurring nightmares, meets a patient with the same horrific dreams. Their quest for answers leads to a certain house on Elm Street where nightmares become reality. Now, this is an interesting movie in the fact that at the beginning of the movie, they kind of give you a what's happened up until now. And the what happened until now is actually a really fun concept. And I feel like that so hurts this movie. In the little blurb at the beginning, Freddy kills all the teens and kids in Springwood. And I'm like, that's interesting. He actually succeeds. And then it just goes off a cliff. Because that cool concept of like, what do you do when you don't have any targets left? Do you go after the adults? It just falls apart. It really just falls apart after that. The Freddy makeup in this poster is not a great. This poster makes this movie look a lot more badass than it is. There are other posters for this that are more of the newer releases on DVD where it is a very clean looking Freddy Krueger. The indentations and distresses on his face are not as punctuated. It is very clean looking. There's a daughter. Did you know that Freddy had a daughter? No one else did, and no one gave a crap because they introduced her in this movie. We'll talk about it later in one of the other movies. They bring up Freddy has a mother, and I'm like, okay, I can kind of get that. But like, yeah, Freddy had a kid, and I'm like, excuse me? What do you mean Freddy had a kid? Yeah, and it just goes off the rails. The Power Glove death is the one that I think everyone talks about. Yeah, this was one that I struggled through. I really struggled to watch this again because it was just like there's nothing about this movie that made me go like, ooh, interesting. It was honestly kind of a snore fest. At least see, and there is a part of me that thought about switching these and going, at least the Jackie Earle Haley one had a little bit of like, it's not the way you should do it, but at least you gave it a shot. Because this one was just like a paint by numbers Freddy movie. And I'm kind of glad this was the last one because I worry about what the next one would have been if they just kept going through this. Because I'm like, he had a mother, he had a daughter, we killed everybody, we didn't kill everybody. Like, where do you go? Like, this is the perfect setup for the Friday the 13th Jason Goes to Space. Because you're that's the next step, is taking Freddy to space somehow. So yeah, this was a slog, but hey, you know what? Maybe there is somebody out there who likes this one. I don't know who, but maybe there is. So that is number 8, the final Nightmare. Let's move back even more and talk about Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. Oh boy. Alice, who is one of the main characters in this franchise, finds the deadly dreams of Freddy Krueger starting once again. This time, the taunting murderer is striking through the sleeping mind of her unborn child. Ugh. There is something about the Friday the 13th series, and I'm going to compare a lot of those two because they do kind of run parallel. There is a lot of people who don't like the middle group of Friday the 13th movies. We'll say 4, 5, 6, 7 that kind of feel the same. Let's be honest. Freddy or Jason goes to a camp, kills a bunch of people, one person survives, they kill him, rinse, repeat for about 4 movies. This one and a few of the other ones, they all try to tweak this franchise in ways that I just don't feel need to happen. If you simply did Freddy goes in, haunts some people, tries some interesting kills, one person kills him, rinse, repeat, I think we'd be a little better than now there's an unborn child, and now the unborn child is getting nightmares. Like, come on. Even the title screen in this movie is a cheap version of this franchise. The title screen, if you don't remember, is literally the title written in chalk. This photo has a better looking title than the title screen. Yeah, the demon baby in this is just a joke. Like, again, we're getting into just why are we changing things? Why are we mucking with them? Freddy's on a skateboard in this one during the day. This is the one where we introduce Freddy's mom, Amanda Kruger. She helps the teens and tries to kill her son. She is a nun in this franchise. Of course she is, because she's got to be the complete opposite of what Freddy is. Good God. Like, again, I think we'd be a lot better if it was just went to wash the dishes and came back to Demon Baby. Yep. That's what you missed. These are movies that I feel run the trope of a lot of 80s horror movies where the posters look way more interesting than the movie is. And that sucks, because that poster is a very interesting look. Like, there is a carriage. He's shushing because I guess he wants to keep the baby quiet. Like, it's an interesting look, but it's like, once you get into that movie, you're like, yes, there is a demon baby, kind of, but yeah, this was a waste of time. So that is number 7. Let's get into number 6. We're starting to get better. We kind of got through the crumb and the waste of times. Now we start getting into some that are a little easier to watch, a little more fun. I don't mind Freddy having fun in these movies. I think that's one of the biggest problems with this franchise, is that there are some people who love the original and love, for say, the new Nightmare, and love that really scary Freddy. And then there gets into that comedy part, which they do kind of poke fun at in New Nightmare, where there's that comedy death, like the Power Glove, like the black and white Freddy, stuff like that. I think you can balance them pretty well. I think there is a place for the humorous side of Freddy in some moments, but I feel like when you push it over the limit and you jump the shark, to be honest, that's when you get into the, okay, we've really gone past the point of being scary, and this has just become a comedy movie at that point. So we have gone from the Dream Child to the Dream Master. This is number 4. This is Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. Now, 1988, the year I was born, Freddy Krueger is resurrected from his apparent demise and rapidly tracks down and kills the remainder of the Elm Street kids. However, Kristen, who can draw others into her dreams, wills her special abilities to her new friend, Alice. Now, this is a sequel to 3. They're similar to the Halloween movies and the Friday the 13th. Most of this does follow a consecutive timeline. This one in particular is a direct sequel to Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, which, amazing song, and we'll get into that when we get into that movie. Number 3 on my list. Number 3 on your list is Dream Master. See, this one I thought was okay. I didn't hate this one. There are ones higher up that I think people would probably knock down a bit, but I have a love for them because they were around when I was here. Yes, Dawkin, exactly. I grew up with those. That's when I became a horror fan, so they do have a little space in my heart. And there is one that is a couple steps up that people will be like, really, you like that one? It's probably the one I watched the most and I love it. So with the Dream Master, this is a sequel. This one is an interesting one, in particular because of the main character. So we had an actress in movie 3 that was our lead star. However, for reasons when it comes to contract and a whole bunch of other stuff, she did not come back for movie 4. So, in an odd choice, we have recast the main character in a horror sequel, which is odd a bit, because I think if they were a side character, it's one thing, but if it's something like a direct sequel, it's kind of odd that you would change the main character, but hey, whatever. We still have a little bit of comedy in this. It's not completely gone downhill when it comes to comedy. We are still pretty serious. The 80s CG on the specific desk kill is one of the ones that I don't mind. I think we're getting into some CG where it gets a little too much, but we're playing with it. We're not going full CG, which I think some 80s, 90s movies really try to, and it just falls apart. You guys aren't The Matrix. Like, calm down. We could do practical effects in a horror movie. I specifically like this one for the waterbed scene. I think that is a very nice little nod to the original movie, to the original kill that everyone kind of knows. This one, I would say if you're a fan, I would definitely not sleep on this one. I think this is a good one. If you like 3, and we'll talk about how much people like the Dream Warriors number 3 movie, I'd say watch this one as a nice sequel. It is obviously not better than movie 3, but it's still a good movie. I would definitely give it a shot. We're at the halfway point already. See, I told you I'd get these guys out. I told you I'd get you out of here before the Jays game. Number 5. Number 5, we are running through most of the newer ones. Let's go back a little bit further to number 2, Freddy's Revenge. This is the direct sequel to the original. Jesse Walsh moves with his family into the home of the lone survivor from a series of attacks by dream-stalking monster Freddy Kruger. Here, he is bedeviled by nightmares and inexplicably violent impulses. Little more comedy in this movie than the original. And I think this is where the world of Freddy kind of wanted to see how far they could push it. The original movie was very Whoa, in the chat, Andy, not a chance, number 1 on my list. Really? Number 2 is number 1 on your list. Okay, that's fair. I'll give you that one. I know a lot of people do like this one. It's not my favorite, but it was not a bad movie. I don't think this is a bad movie. It's just I've got some love for some other ones. I do find it a little weird that we had such a great horror icon in the first movie with Nancy and with Heather Langenkamp, that we don't really focus on it that much in the sequel. Like, I really think we could have turned her into Jamie Lee Curtis from Halloween. In this one, we have a male main character, but Lisa, the other character, has the final battle with Freddy, which again is an odd choice in my opinion, but it's again, I'm not crapping on this movie. It's just not one of my favorites. This was another one that I had to watch again and kind of remind myself of what happened in this movie. The first one holds such a great space in, I think, a lot of people's hearts, that second one just kind of gets lost, because once you get into 3, 4, and 5, it's sort of just pandemonium and chaos of comedy and horror and weird babies and stuff that this one kind of gets lost. And that might be why I ranked it so low. The skipping rope with the gym teacher, I was like, I don't know about that one. But hey, again, the biggest part about this that frustrates me is this movie poster. And it is simply a personal gripe with it. And it's more of a personal gripe because of something that I did a long time ago, and it's something that kind of haunts me. There was, back in the day, I had my bedroom at my mom's house, and I had slanted ceilings on half of my room. And on that one slanted ceiling, I put a whole bunch of drawings that I did. I would draw something, I would cut it out, and I would tape it. And I had like a big mural of drawings that I did. And one of them was I recreated the Friday the 13th Part 4 cover, whichever one. Yeah, I think it's 4, where it's the mask and it has the knife through the eye hole of the mask. I drew it and I loved it. I thought it was one of the best drawings I did. I thought it was really cool. Then I had a friend come over, and the way that I drew it, I made a mistake. So if you have a hole, I'm going to try to explain this to people who don't understand art. If you have a hole and you put something through it and it's dark under here, you would see the blade go through, but you wouldn't see, like, it would go through, it wouldn't stop at the eye. Well, my drawing got to the eye and then it went black. And I was like, oh, I made a mistake. I screwed up. I'm never going to live this down. Now, I look at this poster, and this nose frustrates me because I feel like this nose should be a little further over, and they just made that mistake. And it is absolutely frustrating to me that I will look at this, and it just reminds me of my drawing from back in the day. It's a small little gripe, but as an artist, it bugs me. So that is number 5, Freddy's Revenge. Now we're going to get into the one that I think is going to piss people off a bit. Because there's one on here that is very, very divisive with fans. And I understand the divisiveness of this. I have watched this movie recently, and I understand even more why this was divisive. But I still love it. And that is Freddy vs. Jason. We are counting this as a Freddy Krueger movie. He is in it. It is more of a Jason movie, though. I will admit that. It is way more of a Jason movie than it is a Freddy movie. So, Freddy enlists Jason to kill on his behalf on Elm Street after realizing that he can't haunt the dreams because people no longer fear them. So, an odd plot where Freddy is kind of powerless in the movie and needs Jason to bring fear back to Elm Street. This was the first horror movie I ever saw in theaters. The biggest problem with this, and if you know anything about the series, is this was in writer's hell for so long. This was an absolute nightmare, pun intended, to figure out a story. If you've ever watched the behind the scenes on this, and I have, they went through so many ideas how to get these two people together. And you're probably wondering, why are these two people fighting each other? Well, if we go over to the Friday the 13th franchise, in Jason Goes to Hell, which was in 1993, the end of the movie shows the Jason mask laying in a bunch of sand, and the claws come up out of the sand and pull Jason's mask down, which everyone went, oh, they're in the same universe. And I'm like, yes, they are. And it's the same movie that reminds everybody that Jason is technically a Deadite. He is part of the Evil Dead universe because the Necronomicon is in the Friday the 13th movie. But this was too late. This had so much momentum coming out of the Jason Goes to Hell movie, which was 1993. This movie was 2003. We are now 10 years after that big, this is going to be so cool. Now, was the technology better? Was the makeup better and all that? 100%. But I still feel like we kind of passed the opportunity to do this. Monica Kenis is the lead person. She is Lori in the movie. She's fine in the movie. The rest of the cast sucks. Like, the rest of the cast sucks, I'll fully admit. They are cannon fodder for Jason. And I specifically say they are cannon fodder for Jason because Freddy only has one kill in the movie. Freddy only has one single kill in this movie. The rest is all Jason. And that's why I said this is technically a Jason movie. This is, however, Robert Englund's last final official role as Freddy. Yes, he has done the makeup again in not Parks and Rec, TV show. Can't remember. Always Sunny, I think. The cast is horrible, but I do like the lead actress. I think the story's not a bad one. I do fully admit that this is kind of rose-colored glasses for me. Yes, Freddy only has one kill in the movie. He has one kill. Jason does all the work. But, yeah. But I still like it. Like I said, it does hold a special place in my heart because this was my first horror movie in theaters. Before that, it was a lot of watching old horror and not really getting into the new stuff. So we are now at our top 3. We only have a couple left. Number 3 is appropriate because it is Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors. And yes, the Dawkins song, because it is amazing. Dream Warriors. Such a good song. The cast... wrong one. During a hallucinatory incident, Kristen Parker has her wrist slashed by dream-stalking monster Freddy Krueger. Her mother mistakes the wounds as a attempt, sends her to a psychiatric ward where she joins a group of similarly troubled teens. I like this plot. I think this, for what it is, I think this is the most logical plot for most of these movies. Like, someone has something happen. Parents think it's self-harm. They send them to a psychiatric ward. You find out there are several other people who got sent there, and you all have the same thing that happened. I think that's a cool concept, and it's a great movie in my opinion. And it makes it easier for Freddy being in a psych ward because in psych wards they want you to sleep most of the time, which makes it even easier for him to get to the teens. So, really fun. Patricia Arquette as Kristen Parker does a great job. I think she's one of the best, besides Heather Langenkamp as Nancy. I think she's the second best person in this franchise. I wish they used her a lot more. Heather Langenkamp does come back in this one, which I appreciate. I think if you kept her out, it would have been fine, but I like having that connection to the original movie. I think it really plays in well. Having all of the characters and all the teens sort of have their own personalities that are very different from each other, I think works very well. The Slug Freddy, I think, is still a great scene. It is a very good CGI practical mix that I think works extremely well in this series. Like I said, further down in the series, we start playing with a lot more AI, and it just kind of falls apart a bit. But I think they do a great job here. Again, I think Patricia could have been a great stay in this franchise, but unfortunately, we go a lot of twists and turns in the future, and it's just kind of a nightmare. Again, pun intended. But yeah, if you've never heard the Dream Warrior song, YouTube it after this. Dream Warriors by Dawkins. It is such a good song. It is on my list of like, I'm going to play this all the time. So, we have number 3 at number 3. We got 2 left. What do we think? We got the original, and we've got probably the best sequel. And it's kind of the best sequel because it plays into the first one. Number 2 is Wes Craven's New Nightmare. This is a fun movie. This is a very meta movie, but in all the fun ways. So the cast and crew from A Nightmare on Elm Street are terrorized by Freddy Krueger and his razor-fingered glove as he crosses over into the real world. So, if you've never seen this movie, and I'm surprised there are some horror fans that I am friends with that are like, I've never seen A New Nightmare. I know the original ones, but I've never seen this one. I dig this concept of what happens in this is all of the Friday the 13th, well, more the first one, is a movie. And it puts it as a movie in this franchise, and you follow the actors in this movie, and you realize that Freddy is trying to break into the real world. He is an actual demon trying to get into the real world. Andy says no, no, no in chat. Ooh. See, and that's what I said. There are some people who just, they either slept on it or don't like it, and that's fine. I completely understand. Yeah, so everything in this movie basically says that everything that happened in the previous movies were all movies. They're not real. Now Freddy is in the real world, and he's hunting the cast and crew, which again is a dope concept, and especially coming from Wes Craven, who is, the original writer of Scream, and how meta that movie is of, this is how to survive a horror movie. I think this is a cool little twist on the series. Heather Langenkamp is back. Her son in the movie runs into Freddy on multiple occasions, which I think is really cool because he doesn't really know what that is and who Freddy is, so he's kind of a little more okay with it. Robert playing two versions of this is really fun because they do have the movie version of Freddy in this. Actually, Robert Englund plays three characters in this, which I think is a dope thing for an actor of his caliber. He plays the kind of humorous, goofy Freddy, he plays the terrifying one, and he plays Robert Englund. So having a star of his caliber and doing three performances, three different ways of kind of the same thing is really cool. There aren't many kills in this movie. I will completely be honest. This is not a bloodbath of a movie. The one kill that I think everyone loves is Julie's, and that is in the hospital where she gets torn apart on the ceiling, which is a great callback to the original. This version of Freddy is the most scary in my opinion. The makeup effects they did on Robert are incredible. Him with the overcoat and the duster hat, or not the I don't know what kind of hat you'd call it, his normal hat, is really creepy looking. I think it's a nice twist on his character. He looks a lot more beat up. Yeah, I love this movie. It's a very meta movie. I know some people kind of crap on it because it's not, the typical Freddy goes and chases a bunch of teens, and this is sort of a more, it kind of breaks the rules a little bit, but I don't mind it. I think it's a cool take. So, we are 8 in. We haven't talked about 1, literally, and you can kind of guess. This is kind of a trend with these lists, is that the one that started it all is sort of the one that ends up as number 1 because it did start it all. Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984. The original is the original. It is the best. It is hands down. There's no way you could really say otherwise. Andy said this movie should have been Freddy versus Jason. You know what? I wouldn't have minded that. I really wouldn't have minded if they did Freddy versus Jason first and then they did A New Nightmare. I think that would have been a nice little, that could have been cool. But yeah, they had to wait because, Hollywood has to take forever to make anything. So the original teenagers in a small town are dropping like flies, apparently in the grip of mass hysteria causing their deaths. A cop's daughter, Nancy Thompson, traces the cause to Freddy Kruger, who was burned alive by angry parents many years ago. Kruger has now come back into the dreams of his killer's children, claiming their lives as his revenge. Nancy and her boyfriend Glenn must devise a plan to lure the monster out of the realm of nightmares and into the real world. It is an amazing movie. Marcy said, I lived on Elm Street back when this came out. Ooh. That would have been creepy. That really would have been creepy. Andy said, no, you should replace Wes Craven with Freddy vs. Jason. Really? Okay. Hey, you got your list. I got mine. I think the idea of Wes Craven's New Nightmare is better than what they did with Freddy vs. Jason. I mean, we could all, couch quarterback what we think a better script would have been for Freddy vs. Jason, but I think what we got, New Nightmare is better. And I like Freddy vs. Jason. So this is a classic. This is an absolute classic of a movie. Robert Englund coming in, creating the horror icon. Heather Langenkamp as Nancy, just bringing her into the world of being a scream queen. Nancy's freak out in this is such a good scene. A young Johnny Depp is cameoed in this movie. He plays one of the side characters. The bed kills are amazing, having the blood shoot up out of the bed. The ceiling death is another good one. The bathtub scene is kind of the one that everyone, I think, remembers the most. It is not a kill, but it is kind of creepy where you see the glove come up between her legs and then go back down. I don't know many who would not put this at number one because of its impact on the culture. Robert being an absolute terrifying character in this movie. It's probably the one where he is the most he's the scariest in this one, in my opinion, besides, A New Nightmare. There are many more where he turns that comedy on a bit. Even in number 2, there's a little bit of comedy and we kind of go down that road. But this one, he is straight ahead terrifying, as Marcy said. This one is so terrifying for me. Yep. And I agree. This was one of the few movies when I started to get into horror that I was like, oh, I get it. There was many times when I was growing up, because of my name, that people would want to be like, oh, let's all watch Halloween together. We can watch Halloween with Michael Myers. Oh my God. And I'm like, no, you don't want to watch Halloween with me because A, I absolutely love this movie. And B, it is not a scary movie. It is kind of intimidating, kind of scary back in the day, but in 2000s and forward, it's not a scary movie. Same with Friday the 13th. Like the original one is not that bad. It's pretty tame compared to today. This one, I was like, oh, okay, I see why people are terrified with this, because I'm the type of person when it comes to horror, the realism part does play a factor into it, and we talked about that when it comes to my review of Weapons. I grew up going, this can't happen to me, so it doesn't scare me. I never went to camp as a kid, so Friday the 13th was nothing to me. I didn't live in Haddonfield, New York, or Haddonfield, Illinois. Michael Myers isn't going to come after me. Also, it's my name. Why would he kill someone with the same name? This one, don't fall asleep. Uh-oh, we all have to fall asleep. So this one definitely made me go, I see why everybody gets a little freaked out by this. But yeah, this one is definitely the number one. I'm trying to think how many times I've seen this one compared to the other ones. I think I've seen this one at least 3-4 times, and I've seen it a couple times with some friends, and some friends were even like, yep, get it. I completely get it. But this is not one that I would watch all the time, but it's still it's a nice classic. All right, folks, we are done with our list. We're going to go through them again quickly. Number 1, Nightmare on Elm Street. Number 2,
Wes Craven's A New Nightmare. Number 3, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Number 4, Freddy vs. Jason. Number 5, Freddy's Revenge. Number 6, we've got Dream Master. Number 7, Dream Child. Number 8, Freddy's Dead Final Nightmare. And closing out the list, Jackie Earle Haley in A Nightmare on Elm Street, the reboot. That is our list for tonight, folks. I hope you are doing good. We are just under 8 o'clock, which gives you just enough time to get a drink, go to the washroom, and get some snacks and get ready for the ball game. Next week, we will be back with our final episode of the month. We will be doing a review of Frightmare in the Falls. I'll be there this weekend. I will just be there on the Saturday, so if you are stopping by the con, swing by the autograph area. I will be there volunteering. Next, after that, we are going to be doing an episode that a bunch of people have requested because of my background in social media and marketing. We are going to be doing an episode called Social Media's Impact on Cosplay, because I have had a bunch of people reach out about how to gain followers on Facebook and Instagram and other social media platforms, and my thoughts on certain things like AI. And we're going to cover all that in 2 weeks on the Social Media Impact of Cosplay episode. Folks, I greatly appreciate you coming along on the journey with me. I hope the signal held up. I did see it drop to 0 at some point, so I assume we did have some issues. So it looks like a phone call is going to be on its way. Yeah, we'll make it work. Have yourselves a great night. Enjoy the game, and I will hopefully see you all at Frightmare on Saturday. And if not, I will see you here next week for a new episode of Monday Night Nerd. You guys take care. We'll see you soon. Love y'all. Hey, thanks for watching Monday Night Nerd. If you enjoyed this content, please hit the subscribe button, like this content, and follow on social media for even more nerdy fun. See you soon.